So it's Bible history, but today we're not on the Bible. We're in between the Old and the New Testaments. Most of the time, nobody pays any attention to that. It's 400 years from Adam and Eve down to the close of the Old Testament is 3,600 years, but you got another 400 years on your hands until the coming of Christ. And what we're going to do today is I want to do three things. Number one, I want to give you a very quick overview of the 400 years. Then number two, I want to descend into some details about those 400 years. And number three, and for further study, I want to suggest some resources that you can go to and have something in front of you in print, actually. Well, let's go for just the number one, the overview. When the Old Testament closes, the Persians, the Medo-Persians, are in charge of the then known world from India all the way through even into Africa, into what we call Ethiopia. They were in charge. So for the first 100 of the 400 years, it's the Persians who are running the show for the civilized world. But then comes on the scene a very important person, Alexander, and they call him rightfully Alexander the Great. He's from Greece, and when he was 20 years old, he started out with his military exploits, and the Greeks ruled the world. Then finally comes a fellow by the name of Antiochus Epiphanes, who really gave the Jews a bad time, desecrated the temple, and so on. And rising up against him was the famous fellow, Judas Maccabeus, who drove him out, recaptured the temple, and so on. And out of that rededication of the temple came the feast that the Jews celebrate around our Christmas time, Hanukkah, the Feast of Lights, the relighting the lamps in the temple. But then about 63 AD comes Pompey, and the Romans take the world. So that's the quick overview. Now I want to go into some detail, and you follow with me. Why these 400 years? Why isn't something going on? Well, a lot's going on. And where's God? Well, God is at work. He is preparing the world for the coming of Christ. There is, first of all, the Jewish preparation. Now, the Jewish people were prepared by the giving of the law, which they tried to keep, but no, they could not. And that's what the Day of Atonement is all about. Comes in the fall, at end of September, beginning of October, or October, usually about in that time, to atone for their sins because they didn't keep the law. And then, of course, in Old Testament times were all those sacrifices. Was it Josephus who said at one time, perhaps a little bit of an exaggeration, 300,000 lambs slain in Jerusalem at Passover time, all those sacrifices, reminding again that sin has to be atoned for. But then there were all those prophecies. They start in Genesis chapter 3 and go right down through the end of the Old Testament. Prophecies about the coming of the Messiah, the deliverer, the Redeemer. All those years, no Messiah. But Galatians 4 says, in the fullness of time, at the right time, in the fullness of time, God sent forth his Son. Jesus was not late, right on time, and it all comes, of course, exactly as God had planned because of the preparation. Now, not only did God use the Jews to prepare the world and to prepare them for the coming of the Messiah, because he was to be dropped into the middle of the Jewish nation, but the world was prepared politically by the God for this time. There is at this time the Roman Empire. This started 63 BC with Pompey, and actually the entire civilized world, all the way to the east, to India, down in all of North Africa, all of Southern Europe, even on up into England and Scotland, the Roman Empire. This is big stuff and is very important. There is what the scholars call in Latin the Pax Romana, the peace of Rome. Unbelievable. I'm 93 years old, and throughout my entire lifetime, there has been war someplace in the world. But here at this time, there was no war. There's nobody left to fight. The Romans had taken them all down. And Rome, with its soldiers, with its military, is ruling every, and there is the Pax Romana, the Roman peace. Imagine a world not disturbed by any war. And there was Roman law. So the Roman courts, people could get their problems settled in the courts. Something else that came with Alexander the Great about 330 or 330 BC. The Greek language was spread through the whole world. Now, there were local languages, of course, that were maintained, but just like in our own country, there are people who still speak some language other than English. But Greek was the prevailing language. In the streets, in the marketplace, in the places of business, the letters were written in Greek, the conversation was in Greek. You may have had ethnically some language of your forebears that you still kept using in the family, but Greek was the prevailing language. Today, when we send missionaries, of course, they struggle learning some very hard languages. But for missions, imagine for the spread of the gospel, nobody had to learn another language. No translators were needed. Everyone was familiar with the Greek language in which the New Testament was to be written. And there were no national barriers. Nobody had a passport. You didn't need one. Today, even to go to the islands in the Caribbean, you need a passport. Just to go to Mexico, you need a passport. And you need a visa. The passport is from your country to get you in and out. The visa is from the other country to let you in. It's the permission to enter. So Rome is in charge. No passports, no visa. Freedom of travel everywhere. Imagine what that would mean for missionary work and the spread of the gospel. Now, not only that, but the Romans were great road builders. Not just paths. not asphalt. These were substantial roads with the base and paving stones. They were all-weather roads. And through the Roman Empire, there were 53,000 miles of roads. We thank President Eisenhower for our interstate highway system, which really makes it easy to get around. But the interstate highway system has only 48,440 roads, miles of road. The Roman roads, 53,000. This was more than the United States interstate system. And there were good ships. No passenger ships, you understand. They were all freighters, but they took on passengers, as some freighters still do today. And especially from Alexandria in Egypt on to Rome came the freighters with wheat because the Italians could not raise enough wheat to feed the people in the capital city of Rome, capital of the Roman Empire at that time. So there were these freighters. No national barriers, good roads, a common language, commas. Greek mythology left some gods quarreling and a certain emptiness in people knowing there had to be something better than this. Greek philosophy, Socrates, a monotheist but didn't know who the God was, and Plato believed in a moral fall but had no solution to get people out of it. And by the way, at this time there was religious toleration. When the Romans took a country, they let the people continue with their own religion, whatever it happened to be. The Jews, of course, still had their temple and their worship and their priesthood. It was all there. There was something else at this time, the diaspora, or the Jewish dispersion. There were Jews all over the Roman Empire, every major city of any kind. One exception was Philippi, but otherwise everyone had a synagogue. So in every city there was this. And something else. There was a translation of the Old Testament, the Septuagint, which means 70, because 70 Jewish translators in Alexandria, Egypt, 280 BC, translated the Old Testament, which is 2/3 of the Bible, translated it from the Hebrew language into Greek. So you had the witness of monotheistic people, not idolaters, monotheists, the Jews worshiping the true God, scattered all through the empire. And the Old Testament available to everyone. When the New Testament writers quoted from the Old Testament 600 times, it was from this Septuagint translation, the Greek of the Old Testament, not from the Hebrew. So you see, the world was prepared. One universal government, one universal language. The witness of the Jews in every major city, and the 2/3 of the Bible, the entire Old Testament, is in the language that anybody can read for himself. Amazing. The world is prepared for the coming of Christ. Now, this is so very important. You want to give it some more attention, and I suggest you do. Just jumping from the Old Testament to the New Testament without this intertestamental information is a bad leap and unnecessary. You can know, and all of this is filled in and ready, and you can have this information. Where do you go if you want this in writing? Well, one suggestion I'm making is Haley's Bible Handbook. This has been in many editions for a long time. Over 6 million copies of Haley's Bible Handbook. There have been many Bible handbooks, but none so popular as this, and none so good as Haley's Bible Handbook. And if you don't have it, other than the Bible, this is one book that will really be helpful to you, and you want to get it. But you're looking here at the latest revised edition, and actually it's been updated, and here it is, and it's the revised deluxe edition, and it's worth every dime that you pay for it, and it should be high priced, but it's actually low priced and accessible. Now, what you do is you go in between the two testaments and you'll find pages of material on this intertestamental story, how the world is prepared, what we've been talking about here, and much more for that time. And if you don't have Haley's Bible Handbook, you want to pick up one of these sooner or later. Amazon, just you go and get a used one. If you have an old one, it's not as good and not as much information. Doesn't have all the maps and colored pictures. But Haley's Bible Handbook will help you get a grip on this intertestamental period. Something else I want to not just suggest, but highly recommend. Alfred Edersheim, he's not a Norwegian by the name, a converted Jew, wrote The Life and Times of Jesus the Messiah. This is better than a commentary on the Gospels. But what I'm particularly recommending at this time is the first 100 pages. Now, usually a person will skip those first 100 pages in The Life and Times of Jesus the Messiah by Alfred Edersheim. But, my friend, those 100 pages set you up for reading the Gospels. They are terrific. Here it is. And it's all in one volume. Mine is in 2 volumes. But The Life and Times of Jesus the Messiah by Alfred Edersheim. Now, the first 100 pages, there is absolutely nothing like it in any other book in print in the world. You read these first 100 pages, it prepares you for wading into the New Testament. Nobody but a Jew could do this. And Alfred Edersheim has done it masterfully. So Haley's Bible Handbook will take you through this 400-year period, and then you're going to read the first 100 pages of Alfred Edersheim, The Life and Times of Jesus the Messiah.